Mr. Speaker, I've had quite a number of persons say to me, but you've been very quiet recently. And sometimes people misinterpret someone's silence to mean that they have nothing to say, or they don't know what to say. But those who would know better, Mr. Speaker, would know that sometimes silence can mean that you have so much to say, you don't know where to start. And it can also mean that you are silent on the outside, but very busy listening to that inner voice on the inside. So there's always dialogue happening. There's always things happening. And Mr. Speaker, I often look at the ocean and I think that we see the sea, we see it vast, we see the waves rolling, and we think that's the ocean. But the ocean is what really is beneath it, the things that we don't see. The ocean really is the life at the very depths of the ocean. That's what the ocean is. If we want to understand the ocean, we have to understand life beneath the ocean. And so, Mr. Speaker, how much can I really say in 1 hour? There's so much to say. There's so much to report. So, Mr. Speaker, standing on my feet, sometimes I'm not sure where to start until I get to my feet. But I want to just reflect a little bit on a conversation I had with the Honorable Prime Minister yesterday, very, very briefly. I've heard a lot said about the Prime Minister, a lot of attacks on the Prime Minister, unjustified, unwarranted, untrue. And Mr. Speaker, my approach, certainly in my own political life, Mr. Speaker, I don't read about myself on Facebook. I don't read about myself anywhere. Because I think I know myself better than others do. And there's one person who certainly knows me more than I can ever know myself, the person who created me. So if I want to know about me, I self-examine or I reflect and ask God to reveal to me about myself. So my policy is not to go responding to what people say about me, or I never even really advocate responding, because politics is such that, Mr. Speaker, somebody tells a lie, you go on untell it. As fast as you untell it, somebody tells a lie. People who are bent on misinformation, mischief, will create mischief much faster than you can ever undo what they did. So my policy is always just to keep on working, just to keep on doing the work. But, Mr. Speaker, there are sometimes some things need to be addressed because they go too far and they can harm not just the individual targeted, but they can harm an entire nation. So there are some falsehoods, there are some inaccuracies sometimes that need to be corrected for the common good. I will come back to that, Mr. Speaker. I was talking about the conversation that the Prime Minister and I had very briefly, not even 5 minutes yesterday. I said to the Prime Minister, you know, PM, we did our first ultrasound at our family center yesterday. That's our crisis pregnancy center, by the way. We performed our first ultrasound on our clients yesterday at the family center. The Prime Minister right away said, well, yes, when are you inviting me? I would like to come to see. Yes. I have never asked the Prime Minister, we've never discussed fully what the Prime Minister's views on abortion are. We've not discussed that. But that's a Prime Minister who understands women in crisis need help. Women in crisis need support. Women in crisis need services. And the Prime Minister is open to providing that. This is the Prime Minister we have. And as I reflected on that, I reflected it was 16 years ago. My son is going to be 17 in September. I was 8.5 months pregnant. This is when I was unceremoniously fired without being given an opportunity to express my views. This is a Prime Minister who perhaps does not necessarily hold the same position that I hold, but there is common ground where we can work together for the benefit of the vulnerable, and that's enough for him. How can we work together? You see, I was not even given that opportunity. This is what happened. This is what happened in an administration where I served. As I said, my son turned 17 in September. And it has taken us almost 17 years to offer our first ultrasound and really begin to provide the kind of services that we're providing. So, Prime Minister, we'd be so happy to invite you and the Cabinet to see what we're doing. And by the way, we have not asked government for a penny. This is being done entirely by the work of volunteers. So, Speaker, I hear that they talk about a Prime Minister who doesn't care, who is, I don't even want to remember the words, because honestly, I forget them. As soon as they're said, I forget them. Put them out of my head. I want to base my thoughts and actions on truth, not on falsehood. So, Mr. Speaker, I've heard the rhetoric, and sometimes I need to ask myself, how come it is this Prime Minister who has made available to the New Beginnings Transit Home in Beaufort the sum of $242,400 per year? Whenever have we had at any point? I'm aware that the transit home has an allocation of 500,000. But in Beaufort, how long has this home been around in Beaufort? What did the previous Member of Parliament, when he was Minister of Finance and Prime Minister, do for the children of Beaufort who needed proper housing? What did he do? It has taken this Prime Minister to do it, Mr. Speaker. This is what we are talking about. The compassion, the openness to another viewpoint and discussing. Mr. Speaker, our government has done really well with managing COVID. And as I've said in this Honorable House before, I think the whole of St. Lucia needs to take credit, led by the government, of course, in particular the Chief Medical Officer, the Minister of Health and their team. The opposition collaborated, but led by the government of St. Lucia. But even then, Mr. Speaker, we are not a government that boasts. We are not a government that boasts. We recognize, Mr. Speaker, that we work, but it is God who accomplishes everything. It is God who accomplishes everything. This is why, Mr. Speaker, when we came back in, this Prime Minister reinstated prayers in Cabinet.
Mr. Speaker, point of order. Mr. Speaker, this prayers in Cabinet thing has come along for several. That is not true, Mr. Speaker. There was never any stopping of prayers in Cabinet. This has been said. That is not true. I was in the Cabinet. There was never any stopping of prayers in Cabinet. We never stopped any prayers in Cabinet.
Is that a point of order, Mr. Speaker? What is the member asking? What does the member wish me to do? I'm obliged today. What is it that the honourable member wishes me to do? What does he want me to do? Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Leader of the Opposition is suggesting that I am not speaking the truth. So I am duty bound to explain myself. I am duty bound to say what happened and how it happened. Mr. Speaker, I became a Minister of Government, as you know, in 1997 under the Labour Party. When we started Cabinet, there were no prayers. When we first came into Cabinet, as far as I recall, there were no prayers. We never started the Cabinet with prayers. Mr. Speaker, at a certain point, and you can check the records, once the agenda is there and it says everything that happened, it should be in there. Prime Minister Kenny Anthony was on leave and Mario Michel acted as Prime Minister. At that point, Veronica God acted as Cabinet Secretary, clerk, because the substantive was also me. And Miss Veronica God, before we started Cabinet, said, Ministers, by the way, I think we should pray for Cabinet. Cabinet was chaired by Acting Prime Minister Mario Michel. He agreed, and we all prayed for Cabinet. That was the very first Cabinet meeting that we prayed before. The subsequent week, again chaired by Minister Michel and Miss God invited us to pray. We stood up and we prayed. Twice we prayed in Cabinet on 2 successive occasions. The third time, it may be the third, it may be the fourth, my memory doesn't serve me on this one, but when Prime Minister Kenny Anthony came back to assume his role as Prime Minister and Minister Michel was no longer acting, we all naturally just stood up because we had prayed before and we naturally were expecting to pray again. We stood up to pray. I made the sign of the cross. We bowed our heads and Miss God said, by the way, PM, while you were out, we started the practice of praying in Cabinet. He says, no, not in this Cabinet. Nobody's going to pray in this Cabinet. And we all just sat down. Go and check the records.
Are you listening?
Go. Yes, I'm telling you. Go. You said that I was lying. You said that I was lying.
Honorable members. Honorable members. We're not going back and forth about praising God. No.
Mr. Speaker, I rest my case. Mr. Speaker, I move on. Mr. Speaker, I will move on, I rest my case.
Okay?
Mr. Speaker, I will move on, I rest my case. Mr. Speaker, the point I want to make is, Mr. Speaker, the point I want to make is that the member on the other side, I believe it was the member for Beaufort North, says that the Prime Minister comes on TV and he prays and he cries and he does whatever it is as though it's a show. It's not a show. This Prime Minister prays in public and in private. That's the point I want to make. It's not about a show. This Prime Minister stands up behind closed doors and leads his cabinet in prayer. So I saw the Prime Minister pray with Mother, can you remind me of her name on TV, Mother Collymore. And I joined in the prayer. I'm used to the Prime Minister leading prayers. But we had a Prime Minister before who not only refused to pray himself, but stopped others from doing it. He precluded others who wanted to pray. Further, I had already made the sign of the cross. He intercepted and stopped the prayer that had already commenced as far as I am concerned. That's what happened. And I recall for months afterwards, for weeks afterwards, there were ministers who were saying, but Cyril, why did the Prime Minister do that? Why did the Prime quietly, no Mr. Speaker, God is not mocked. God is not mocked. God is not mocked. Mr. Speaker, the people of St. Lucia, we serve the people of Castries South, who come to our family center with the same care and gentleness that we serve everybody. What the member for Castries South should be doing is commending me, commending the volunteers. The family center is staffed only by volunteers. Not one person in that center is paid to the work that they do. Volunteers providing a service to the people of St. Lucia, including the women of Castries South who are facing crisis pregnancies. What you should be doing, if you're looking for the vote of the women, if he's looking for the vote of the women from Castries South, you should be applauding these efforts, because your constituents will benefit and are benefiting from it. The Minister for Health will deal with him. The Minister for Health will deal with you in the next election. Mr. Speaker, I would like to continue my presentation in silence. I have a right, as per the standing orders, to vote in silence.
Honorable members, the member ought to be heard in silence.
Mr. Speaker, again, I want to commend the Minister for Health. In fact, I probably should have said what I needed to say about her support before. The Minister of Health perhaps doesn't share my views. The Minister for Health perhaps does not believe as firmly as I believe. I don't know. We have not discussed it. She perhaps doesn't believe as firmly as I believe in the sanctity of human life. But the Minister for Health was the one who provided the ultrasonographer once a week at the family center so we could do his ultrasound free of charge. She's the one. She will be, don't worry, she will be a member of Parliament for Castries South at the next elections. God is not mocked. God is not mocked. Because she has a heart of compassion. She recognizes that women need help and support. And that's all we're asking. The Speaker, on this side, we don't agree on everything. And in fact, this is the great beauty. This is how we make the best decisions. Because there are diverging views. But there is respect. We listen to what others have to say. And there is a common ground where our people can benefit. We are prepared to work together. And so that is what it is all about. So, Mr. Speaker, the member for Castries South is totally misplaced and misguided, because guess what? The first thing we have to do to create a culture of life is to provide the support and the alternatives for women so that abortion becomes unthinkable, and we will get there. Mr. Speaker, I do want to give an account, and I recognize it can only be a summary account of what we have been doing in Castries Central over the past year, and in fact, over the past 4 years. And I say summary account because we have been doing a lot in Castries Central. And I say we because it is a team effort. You would know, Mr. Speaker, that when I was elected into office, one of the first things I said, I believe in the first victory speech that I gave, was that I said, I wanted to know each one of my constituents by name. That was the goal I set for myself. And it was a very ambitious goal. I mean, we all know when we're getting older, we can't remember names even of people who went to school with us. We're staring at someone, we know them so well, and the name's not coming. So I think it was very bold of me to make that pronouncement, and perhaps if I'm held to it by the letter, I might get a B and not a name. And maybe on some days I might even get a C. But the point I wanted to make, Mr. Speaker, is that I would address the needs of my constituents in such a way that I would take particular care and pay particular attention to the needs of each person. And that it would not be a one-size-fits-all approach. That's the point I wanted to make. So, Mr. Speaker, we set to work very quickly in our constituency office. Once persons came in, to really spend the time to understand what their needs, what their challenges were, and develop programs to meet those needs. And to date, we have developed at least 16 programs in Synergy. And that caters for the many, many diverse issues and challenges that our constituents face. Someone might come in with an unemployment problem, but they have a housing problem, they have an addiction problem, they have a problem of domestic abuse in their home. How do you respond to all of that? And so, Mr. Speaker, I will not be going through all the programs at all. What we intend to do is to produce a booklet, a pamphlet, a flyer very soon so that persons can be updated on what we have been doing. I want to talk a little bit about the Urban Growth Farm, because we will be spending quite a bit of time over the next 3 months on the farm down in Roseau to make sure that we can grow and harvest some quick crops so that we can ensure that we can supply our constituents with the food that they need, that we can sell some on the market, and of course be in a position to provide relief packages to our constituents. Mr. Speaker, we have been cultivating 2.1 acres of farmlands at Roseau. I don't know if you ever take a trip down there, but if you go, you will see that the area is fenced. You will see that a farm shed has been built. You will see that the water and infrastructure has been put. If you care enough, Mr. Speaker, you can drive in. You can see where we have even built a water dam. All these things that we have been doing to make sure that we can provide adequate water to the farm so that we can grow a bountiful harvest. So, Mr. Speaker, it's all the young men and young women from Castries Central who have been doing this work from start to finish. We have created employment for 6 persons on the farm full-time ever since January, and it is our intention to employ more persons, probably part-time, as we start growing and planting. Mr. Speaker, it is no accident that the unemployment figures are coming down. Castries Central is contributing to decreasing the unemployment figures we are seeing, both in terms of general unemployment and employment among the youth. Our farmers have been certified, Mr. Speaker, and they also receive personal development coaching sessions. I want to thank the following agencies who have been assisting us: the Pan American Development Foundation, the Taiwanese government, Lucia supported our efforts, WASCO supported our efforts, the Ministry of Infrastructure supported our efforts. Mr. Speaker, I have really to thank the Minister of Agriculture, without whom we would not have had access to the lands at all. I want to say it's very clear that this Minister of Agriculture is not just serious about agriculture, but is serious about youth in agriculture. I want to thank the Water Resources Management Division of the Ministry of Agriculture. I would like to thank the Ministry of Planning. I would like to thank SSDF. I would like to thank the Minister for Economic Empowerment. And of course, I would like to thank the Prime Minister. We had a blessing on the farm some time ago, and the Prime Minister was able to be present with us. I want to say thank you to our farmers for journeying with us and making it obvious, making it clear that the people of Castries Central, the young men And young women of Castries Central are serious about working. In our synergy program in total, Mr. Speaker, we have had a total number of 870 persons register for our program. 870 persons have registered for our synergy program in Castries Central. Of these persons, 607 are from Castries Central and the rest are from other parts of St. Lucia. Although our program is geared specifically at Castries Central, and we are targeting primarily the people of Castries Central as beneficiaries, we have not turned anybody who has come for our help away. We are now moving, Mr. Speaker, as we're starting our planting on our farm, we are now moving to do our Urban Grow Community Outreach Program, where we are encouraging all households in Castries Central to grow your food, do your gardening, however you can do it, in a pot, in a tire, on your windowsill, however you can do it. And Mr. Speaker, the consultant who works with our Urban Grow will provide support to these families who want to grow their own food at home. We have a tracking card. When we donate the seeds, when we give the seeds to you, and we give you the training on how you can grow them, we encourage you to track so we know what you are doing, so we're helping you along the way. One of the things we will do also on our farm, a portion of the farm has been dedicated to a rent-a-row program. Those persons in our constituency who want to come down just to rent a row to do recreational farming can come down to do that. So, Mr. Speaker, these are all these things that we are doing, and I want to say all these are original ideas, homegrown. Even all the artwork you see are from the Synergy staff themselves. So, Mr. Speaker, we want to thank God that we've been able to start a successful farming program in Castries Central. I have to say, Mr. Speaker, that of our 16 synergy programs, this is the one that has been most sought after, most popular. In fact, a total number of 337 persons have registered for Urban Grow. So we have not had to cajole, coerce persons in Castries Central to do farming. We have not. And almost as many women as men said that they were interested. So, Mr. Speaker, I would encourage you, if you're taking a drive down there and you inform me, I'll invite you for lunch on the farm. We have a farm shed. We have a farm shed where we do training, and you're invited as well. Member of Parliament for Denry North, you're invited as well. So, Mr. Speaker, we intend to employ one additional person full-time this year who will be doing farm hospitality. She will ensure the farmers are fed a good meal. She will ensure that our kitchen garden on the farm is kept nicely, and of course that the farm premises and surroundings are kept very well. So, Mr. Speaker, you can have a hot meal on the farm if you like, if you agree to do a little bit of gardening with us as well. So there it is for Urban Grow. Mr. Speaker, I want to speak a little bit about some of the other work that we have been doing. We have a Synergy Gold program. And again, as I said, I will highlight just some of our efforts. Synergy Gold really is to highlight our appreciation for our senior citizens. I want to commend the government on continuing the home care program. And I want to commend the home caregivers in my constituency who've been doing an excellent job, sometimes under very trying circumstances. You go to the home of an elderly person, you go to assist the person with their physical needs, with their personal needs, whether it be bathing or clothing or providing medication or grooming. And you go there and sometimes the person has nothing to eat. How do you pretend you didn't see that? You go into the home of the older person and you realize that it needs to be cleaned. Yet still you went in to provide personal care. How do you pretend you didn't see that? You went to the home of the older person and you realize this person really needs to get his or her medication. And you've already given them your last penny. How do you pretend you didn't see that? Mr. Speaker, so Synergy Gold in Central Castries is supporting and augmenting the efforts of the caregivers. Because they are, in as much as we've done so much, as much as we can give, there are some needs that are so urgent and concrete. So that's what Synergy Gold is. If there is an additional need, whether it be Pampers, we try to provide that. Whether it be grocery items, we provide vouchers to support that. And our Joy Homemakers program works very closely with Synergy Gold. Joy Homemakers is the program we have established to develop a hospitality model for the home sector. You know, we do a lot of hospitality training in St. Lucia, but it's always geared towards the hotels. But homes need very good helpers as well. And we need to train people for that, and we have been doing that. We have completed training of 4 trainers who are now training other persons. And the New Zealand government gave us the support to achieve that. I thank the Prime Minister. He was the one who made the initial contact for us. And so our Joy Homemakers will go in fact alongside our Synergy Gold people in case the house needs to be structured and organized so that the home caregiver can concentrate on the care she's come to give the person personally. So that's Joy Homemakers. I've told you a little bit about that. I'm going back to Synergy Gold. What we have done, Mr. Speaker, with Synergy Gold as well, we have trained 2 qualified massage therapists. Persons who are already well experienced in massage therapy, who already had many years of experience, whether working in hotels or private spas. We send them to the Caribbean School of Holistic Therapies. We send them to do a course on massage for the elderly and critically ill. Mr. Speaker, we call this program Synergy Gold, not by accident. We really, really, really believe that our senior citizens are worth the gold. And in fact, the doctor who works closely with our Synergy Gold said we should aim for Synergy Platinum. And I believe that. So probably Synergy Gold one day will be changed to Synergy Platinum because our senior citizens deserve the best. So these massage therapists who are qualified in giving massages for the elderly and critically ill, Mr. Speaker, I have to say, unfortunately, they were ready to go. We had done the assessments. We had looked at a list of elderly persons. We had called the doctor in, done an assessment of the first 2 that we would have begun the program with as a pilot, but then COVID came. And of course, we were not allowed anymore to go into the homes of the elderly. So we've done this training. We have 2 certified massage therapists on our Synergy staff. That's another 2 jobs that we created. And hopefully, as soon as we are able to go back in, we will do that. So that's just some of the things we are doing for our senior citizens, Mr. Speaker. I want to speak a little bit about Synergy Housing. We have been able to assist in the repair of homes. You will recall also that we had 2 fires last year, both in Rose Hill and Wilton's Yard. And Mr. Speaker, I was brought up in a home where you were not encouraged to say anything that sounded like you were bragging. In fact, one of the terms which was used very often in my home as a child growing up by way of admonition was braggart. And when my mom called you a braggart, you had to be quiet for the rest of the day. We were not allowed ever to say we did this or we did that to beat our chest. My parents, my mother and my father, didn't tolerate that for 1 minute. And maybe some members of the Honorable House here can identify with me. That's how we were brought up long ago. I mean, my mom called us a brat for no reason whatsoever. And because we were brought up like that, my older brothers and sisters would put you straight very quickly if you started to brag. So I am always very reluctant to say, this is what I've done or this is what I've done. Well, certainly I know I haven't done anything on my own because it's a team of us who work together to bring these programs through. And it is the constituents who allow us to journey with them that cause these programs to come into fruition. But I want to say that we very much assisted the fire victims at Rose Hill. We were able to, through the assistance of the town's government, provide them with cash support. We were able to provide counseling for them, and we assisted them with materials to build their homes. At least 7 of those fire victims. In addition to that, Mr. Speaker, we assisted and facilitated the building of 2 homes in Wilton's Yard when the fire struck. And in addition to that, we have been able to build an additional home for a gentleman who is now very ill and in fact now confined to his home on oxygen. All these things we have done, but we have not gone out and said. Because personally, I think, Mr. Speaker, after someone has gone through a fire, it is such a horrifying experience that to have them parading on the TV to show you did this and did that, I really think, Mr. Speaker, it speaks of insensitivity. So what we have done to assist, particularly our fire victims in Cassie Central, we've been very quiet about it. And the people whom we have assisted know that we've done it with our whole heart. So, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to say that. But what is coming, Mr. Speaker, in terms of housing, I think will be the project closest to my heart, or the program closest to my heart. Every program we develop in Cassie Central in Synergy, I say, oh, this one is the dearest to my heart. But I think this one will be the dearest to my heart. It's called First House, Mr. Speaker. And it's still a concept. But I've already spoken to the Minister of Housing, to the Prime Minister. We have begun to source external funding for it. We have identified a location. I've spoken to a certain member of Parliament who borders my constituency, and he has assured me of his support. In all of what we do with our constituents, Mr. Speaker, it has become very, very clear to me that it starts with housing. It starts with housing. And that will be my motto, my logo, my tagline for the upcoming elections, Mr. Speaker. It starts with housing. Housing is important. I personally don't think, Mr. Speaker, we have ever had a low-cost housing program in this country, because we have had so many so-called low-cost housing programs that are so far out of the reach of many, many people. And when we were going to school, we were taught there are 3 basic needs: clothing, housing, food, clothing, and shelter. That's how we were taught. Food, clothing, and shelter. And people assume you'll eat if you're not, even if you don't eat a nutritious meal, you have food, although people should have nutritious meals. $5 certainly can't block a hole. Nutritious meals need to be provided, and we keep doing that. We support, certainly in Cassie Central, in our Synergy Support Program. That's another one of our programs, by the way, Synergy Support. We provide food vouchers, we provide support with prescriptions, we provide support with lab tests, we provide support with doctor's visits, we provide bereavement support, and all these things are not a handout, but a hand-up. because everyone who will qualify for support in our program has to be part of some of our other programs. In other words, you have to register to improve yourself. You have to register to take on some form of training. You have to register to be part of our personal development for you to qualify for support. So we're not just giving a handout, we're giving a hand up. But going back to the housing, Mr. Speaker, there is a great housing need. In fact, the project officer in my constituency sent me a report of more than 35 houses, which he has visited, assessed, and deemed as urgent and critical for intervention before the hurricane season, which, by the way, is already upon us. You'd be surprised the conditions under which people live, even in Castries Central. But we need to start somewhere, and in addition to the support we give, sometimes in a dire situation, even for rent, if there's a domestic violence situation and the person needs to get out, we are, in the coming financial year, providing that we are successful with the proposals we've sent out, hoping to establish a housing program for young, vulnerable, single mothers. And it's called First House, Mr. Speaker, and the idea is to provide structured living for persons who qualify based on the criteria, so that we can begin to support very, very critical cases where young mothers just need adequate housing to have a safe and healthy environment to bring their children up, and so that they can get out of poverty. Mr. Speaker, this is through our Synergy program. Again, the main beneficiaries targeted are persons from Castries Central, but we have never refused anyone who has walked through our doors who really needs help. I must remind honorable members, this is a pilot project in Castries Central, and we have developed the pilot broad, and we certainly do believe that by the time we assess and evaluate, of course we'll find things that are good, we'll find things that are very good, we'll find things that are not so good. The idea is that we will evaluate and we will be able to see what needs to be improved. We've developed it broad, and we believe that it can be an excellent model to be replicated in other communities, not just in St. Lucia. In fact, we have had interest from other parts of the region asking to come see our program. I was just making the point that it's a pilot run in Castries Central, but we do not exclude others. But when you're doing a pilot, Mr. Speaker, as you would appreciate, it's important for you to have a defined target group so that you can evaluate the project. So, Mr. Speaker, this is First House, and I honestly believe that this probably will be the project after my own heart. If I may say, and I stand corrected on this, this is, I think, the first project of its kind ever in St. Lucia. And we will be engaging the Ministry of Gender Relations. We know we will have the full support of the member for Mikudno on this project, because of course it is something that her ministry would, I think, want to look at very closely, because after all, you might even have persons recommended from her department and indeed from the Department of Human Services. So I'm saying all of this to remind persons as a pilot for Central Castries residents or electors are the main beneficiaries, but we have never closed our doors to persons in need who might be from other constituencies. So that's Synergy Housing, and that's coming, and this is going to be one of our flagships. Mr. Speaker, I want to speak a little bit about sport in Castries Central and what we have done. Synergy Sport is another one of our programs, and if you go on our website, which needs to be updated, by the way, there is so much happening, Mr. Speaker, and we have kept our staff quite lean In fact, our full-time synergy staff are about 6 persons, and we double up. So that, for example, our project manager would be the program lead for at least 3 or 4 of our programs. Our deputy project manager is also our lead personal development coach. At the moment now, he's managing the farm in Roseau. What happened, Mr. Speaker? When COVID came and we had to close our office, we all went down to the farm. So you found that persons who normally worked at the office suddenly found themselves working on the farm. Some were reluctant, some were not very, I guess they were not like me, brought up on my father's banana farm. And so they were kind of skeptical, but they soon find the air out there was so much nicer to breathe. And we had exciting times like the river that I took the Prime Minister and the Minister for Economic Development to see, and the Minister for Agriculture. The river, we took them there. Now it's a flowing dam. You haven't gone yet to see it, Minister, although you go there without telling me. So what we did, Mr. Speaker, in fact, I didn't remember. Mr. Speaker, initially, do you know, well, we're learning as we go along, so we went and we used the sandbags, hoping that we would trap the water in that way. But of course, lo and behold, the rain came, and all our efforts went down the drain. And that's why we had to build the dam, and now we have the water flowing. And guess what? Of course, we had to buy our pump and run the pipes to run from the dam to our farm. But along the way, we passed about 6 farmers, and we couldn't just pass them. So we had to put valves to give them water. And so we're going down there and not just improving the lives of Cash Central in Roseau, but we're helping the people from Roseau. We had a great meeting with the farmers 2 days ago, and so it's all organized. They know they can't just go pump water from the river whenever they feel like, but we have it organized to a schedule. In fact, I just got a WhatsApp from one of the farmers thanking me. When you need help with Ministry of Agriculture, perhaps you can coordinate. So I mean, these are exciting times. Once we closed our office, we all headed down to the farm. And in fact, God works in mysterious ways. That's how we got the farm moving like this. We did not have to pay extra staff, extra resources. In fact, some of our office staff are still on the farm getting things going. And I want to say that we are really excited when we spoke with the Taiwanese government and Ambassador Shen. They needed us to do certain concrete things on the infrastructure side to get the farm ready. We completed that, and we can now get on with our plans. I'm going back to sport, Mr. Speaker. So we do have Synergy Sport. We have done not as much as we've done with the farm, with the sport, but what we have done is set aside some funding every year to support sports activities in our constituency. And we've been able to sponsor some of these football tournaments, the Cricket Destiny with the girls' football. We've been able to sponsor that. We've been able to renovate rather the CDC court. We've been able to renovate the new village court, and I am hoping this year we can perhaps resurface the CDC court and complete the lighting issue in the new village court, which has been in trouble for some time. Mr. Speaker, I know there are some communities in my constituency who have been earmarked for playing fields or recreational sporting facilities. Black Stars and Mondudon, Wapatak, Fonigua, Wilton's Yard. These communities do not have any playing facilities. So I'm saying this to the Minister of Sports, hears me. I am also quite concerned, and there's a certain business person I spoke with yesterday who said they were working on something. The VGR playing field, the SAB Sands is an eyesore. Something needs to happen about it. Mr. Speaker?
I'm just trying to get members.
Yes. So, Mr. Speaker, persons might think that I'm not necessarily a sporting person, and not personally, but I do recognize the interest and importance and value of sport. In fact, if I may say so myself, football in Castries Central, it was during my time, women's football, by the way, it was during my time that we revived this. How many years ago? 18 years ago. I mean, if you see the picture, you'll see me playing small goals in the CBC court. And that was how we got quite a few of the young ladies who are now doing the Safe Spaces League. We got them scholarships overseas. That's when I started really reviving football in Castries. We had Sarah superstars. Jamila will tell you. Right? They played in Castries Central, in the CDC court, and a number of them got football scholarships. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm just saying this to let all the sportsmen and sportswomen of Castries Central know I value exercise, I value sport, and certainly we are committed to working with them even more in this new financial year on sport. And on our website, all of the sporting fraternities or clubs can go and register on the Synergy website. We have had a number of them register. You register, you agree to our terms, you agree to the values we wish to promote in sport, and based on that, we are able to support you.
Honorable Member, you have 10 minutes.
I know time passes so quickly. So, Mr. Speaker, you have not heard that there is a Flood-Beaubrun football tournament. You've not heard that yet. But this is not to say that we have not been doing the work quietly in supporting sport in Castries Central, but no doubt as we get the bigger projects up and running, we will concentrate our efforts on the other projects that need attention. Mr. Speaker, I want to speak about one more of our programs, perhaps two more. I want to talk about Synergy Pathway. Pathway is our personal development program, which every constituent who is signed up with Synergy has to sign up. So when you sign our Synergy form, whether at the office or online, you must tick personal development. If you don't tick that, it will be ticked for you. Because our programs are free. Nobody pays anything. I didn't speak about Harvest, by the way, which is our culinary and training program where we train more than 15 participants. It's called Harvest. The idea is that we'll have a farm-to-table program, from our farm to the table. We will work to improve the quality of school feeding programs, not just in Castries Central, because we're in Roseau. We won't pass the Roseau schools with the food and come to Castries Central with it. We're hoping that we will involve some of the schools in the surrounding area. The idea is that we will grow our farm healthy, we'll have a great culinary program, and we will have a farm-to-table program. And initially, our target is to increase the nutritional value of the school feeding programs. One of the things we wish to do, and I need to pause and thank the government of Peru. They are the ones who have been doing our training for our Harvest training program. We've had 2 trainings held in St. Lucia with the experts coming, and we've spoken with them about starting a Little Chefs or Junior Chefs program, which they've agreed to. So we will be having culinary training for the little ones to begin really to teach them the finer skills of culinary art. So that's coming as well. I'm going back to Pathway. All of this training we're doing, Mr. Speaker, all of these jobs that we are creating, we recognized from very early that it is not enough to simply provide skills. A lot of smart people in Castries Central, a lot of smart people in St. Lucia, a lot of very gifted young people in St. Lucia, but sometimes they are not work ready. The social skills aren't ready yet. The life skills need to be sharpened. So the way our pathway program works, we are developing a full personal development manual. UNECLAC has had a consultant here in St. Lucia to work with us on that. And we have also developed a personal life coaching tool. The Mexican government has helped us with that. And the whole idea is everyone in our program does personal development once a week. So our core team has been doing personal development once a week for the past 2 years. Our farmers, ever since they started in January, have been doing personal development, but it was of course interrupted with that by the COVID. We started to get it back on stream. The way it works though, Mr. Speaker, let us say we have a situation in one of our programs where someone has committed a misdemeanor or the person has done something grave, something that in an ordinary work environment would occasion serious disciplinary action. Our philosophy in Synergy is that we will work with you as long as you are prepared to work with us. So whereas in another program the first response will be to fire you, in Synergy we don't quite do it that way. You may be removed from the setting, but when you are removed from the setting, you will need to go to pathway. Our pathway premises are located downstairs the Labor Department. This is our Pathway Personal Training and Development Center. We have been located there for the past 3 or 4 months. We're still doing makeshift because again, everything got delayed by COVID. I'm not just blaming COVID. But what will happen is someone who perhaps would have been fired from a job because of his misbehavior, with Synergy, that's unlikely to happen. You are more likely to be taken. Of course, it is a criminal offense. We're going to call the police. But we will still work with the authorities to see how we can give you more opportunities and give you the tools and help you improve your behavior so that you can be reintegrated. So it's very comprehensive, it's very holistic. I could say more about this, but I don't have the time. But I do want to say that one of the programs we literally just started is called Acceptance, Intervention, and Rehabilitation. This is for persons who may have addictions, substance abuse issues, and when I say addictions, I'm not necessarily meaning drugs. Some persons are habitual, persons who abuse people, persons who commit acts of violence or domestic violence, persons who perhaps are addicted to the social media. That's a problem now. That's an addiction now. So we do have a counselor who works with us, and all of these services we provide. You will note, Mr. Speaker, that we do seek funding from external agencies. I've mentioned a number of agencies that support our work. And so all of these programs that I'm speaking about are funded not just from the government resources that we receive, but we have gone out there to market our programs, to send our proposals out there, and this is what we do. The next time, Mr. Speaker, perhaps I'll get to speak about Synergy Special. That's our program for the disabled. I didn't even say anything about wash and browse. That's the car wash. I didn't even get to talk about that. So, Mr. Speaker, I didn't talk about clean, green, and safe. We recently signed an agreement we collaborated with the Solid Waste Management Authority, and they signed an agreement with the Japanese government to obtain 3 small garbage trucks for Castry Central, because we do have a problem of garbage collection. Sometimes the big trucks can't go into small areas. We have a bigger problem than that, of education and everything, but I'm just, Mr. Speaker, going very quickly. But one of the things that the garbage truck will do is that it will, one of the trucks will be used completely for green waste, and that green waste will be taken to our farm to be used as compost, so that it can help with our organic farming. One of our programs is Clean, Green and Safe. What we do, register your crew, and that's how we help persons keep it make seed. I know you're going to say, Mr. Speaker, that I have no time at all left. What I do want to say, Mr. Speaker, I must thank my constituents. I want to thank my team. I want to thank the people of Castle Central. Life is very tough. Life is even tougher now with COVID. Mr. Speaker, the stories, the requests that I receive on my phone are heartbreaking. And we know that persons are suffering out there. And what we've done is try to provide a framework, a structure. Nobody walks into our constituency office and cannot get help with something. You might not get the help you came to get, but you will get something. We'll be able, with our structure, to help you with something. We have had, and we've recorded over 900 persons walk into our constituency office ever since we started keeping our records. Now, one person can be there 5 times. We're not checking the number of times you've come in. We're checking the number of persons who walked in to our office to receive care. And the system we have, Mr. Speaker, on my phone, I can check, I can pull up anybody in our system and know what they came to get and what it is they received. So if somebody is in my constituency office right now and the receptionist is dealing with a person, I will know. If the receptionist calls me, I'll pick up the file and I will see what was the last intervention we did. So this is what I'm talking about when I promised my constituents that I wanted to know each one of them by name. I will not, I guess, remember the 900 names who came to see me. But if somebody WhatsApps me here and said, by the way, so-and-so, I will pull up the file here and I'll be able to speak to that person about their sick mother they told me about. So we take our business of representation very seriously. I must stop abruptly and go to my ministry. And I think I have literally 5 minutes left. I have no time at all. I want to tell my staff of the Ministry of External Affairs, ambassadors and consuls general, high commissioners overseas, how very proud and impressed I am with the way the Ministry of External Affairs has addressed in these COVID times the many calls and messages and persons who have been stranded. Mr. Speaker, I have to say that the ministry has really brought foreign affairs home, the value of a Ministry of Foreign Affairs to the ordinary people of St. Lucia. Because of their work, Mr. Speaker, I can say not just who has been repatriated, but I know how many persons we have out there who have not been. I know that we have 130 persons on the list waiting to come from England. I know that we have over 200 waiting to come from the US. I know that we have 3 in Antigua. I know that because of the work that my staff at the ministry and in all of our offices have been doing. We are on the ball. This is what I want to say today. We know who's landing in Grenada and will be stranded and needs to come home, and we're involved in getting that charter. I want to say thank you. I want to say you have really brought the personal approach to the work at External Affairs, and on behalf of the government of people of St. Lucia, I applaud your work. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.